Hello, folks. Welcome back to the Nerdist Colony. I'm Mike, your host. And what do we have for you this time? Well, it's the Tuesday night fall schedule. And we have some amazing TV programs out there this time. We have an absolute bucket load to get through, so we better crack on. I never really mentioned it before, but I think that the ABC network in America definitely wins hands down on a Tuesday night, with shows like The Middle, The Real O'Neills, and also Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. The Middle's been a real mainstay on American TV, and it's one of those programs that you just love. It's not really hilarious TV, however, it's very heartwarming. I think the reason it resonates with most people, though, is simply because, like Mike and Frankie, are probably the quintessential parents that generally shut off after a little while. However, the true stars of that show have to be the kids, Axel, Sue, and Brick. However, it's been really strange seeing them grow up over 8 years of TV. Wow, has it been 8 years already? It's just one of those programs you just want to see carry on forever. Kind of like an old family pet that you don't want to get put down. Next up, we have one of the biggest hits, or one of the biggest surprise hits for me, of last year's TV schedule. It came in at mid-season, sometime in January, I believe. And that's The Real O'Neills. Centered around a very devout Catholic family who seem to have their own problems. It all comes to a head when the youngest son actually comes out as being gay. At first I thought it was going to be very risque, but I have to say, it's one of those programs that you just can't stop chuckling at. Martha Plimpton is perfectly cast in this role as the mother, who's trying to hold it all together in front of the community, whilst living in denial that her son's gay. I have to say though, when I first read about it, I actually thought this show was going to be quite offensive towards people. But it's a genuinely funny show. Not my favourite comedy show of the week, but hey, it's certainly up there with the rest of them. The final offering on ABC on a Tuesday night is Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Definitely one of the better superhero TV programs. As you go along in my videos, you'll realise I'm more of a Marvel fanboy than I am a DC. And that's simply because it's more grounded in realism. Yes, I know it's a superheroes, and yes, I know it's like fantasy, but I definitely find the more relatable characters in the Marvel stable. We're about to blast off into our 4th season. And when it first kicked off, everybody was a little bit, how to put this, pessimistic towards the first season. They said it was slow and boring. But I've had equal enjoyment pretty much out of the last 3 seasons. Sometimes it's limped along and sometimes the story's gone a little bit slow. And that mid-season break is kind of annoying. However, I keep on coming back to it, only because I like the movie tie-ins. Albeit a very subtle movie tie-ins, but I still love the way that they interact and don't ignore each other's existence, which feels new. As a whole, the cast is a decent mainstay. However, last season had some oh my god moments and we lost Bobby and Hunter. But when you have beautiful stars like Chloe Bennett and Elizabeth Henstridge, you feel their vulnerability, which helps you to be emotionally invested into the episode. Now that we've covered casting and the star power within the series, I think I've only had one complaint about the show, is that ABC are a little bit too family friendly. It could do with being a bit more darker for a 10 o'clock time slot. If ABC isn't your cup of tea, you could always switch over and join Brooklyn Nine-Nine. It's the first of 2 comedy shows on a Tuesday night for Fox. The second one being New Girl, but we'll get to that one in a minute. Adam Sandberg and the rest of the crew are back for their 4th season. Again, another show that doesn't seem to have started 5 minutes ago. This is another show that doesn't make my side split with laughter, but it keeps me ticking over anyway. Terry Crews is definitely the standout star of that show, or at least a very giant cog of the whole machine. But his scenes are definitely more standout than everybody else's. I still think it's got a long way to go with storytelling in mind. Hopefully we'll see 2 or 3 more seasons of it before it finally gets cancelled. But until then, keep up the good work, guys. The other half-hour offering from Fox is New Girl. Now this one's especially problematic for me, as I used to be quite a big fan of the show. However, last season seemed to be fraught with problems. Mostly because it didn't premiere until mid-season, due to the main star Zooey Deschanel's pregnancy. However, Megan Fox came in and did a, let's just say okay job. The story took a nosedive, as they quickly tried to write out the story for a short while. And after that, I don't think it ever recovered. I mean, a lot of New Girl fans might disagree with me out there, but that second half of the season just felt rushed, and definitely felt like there was no care taken in the story writing. Just for nostalgia reasons, I kind of hope that it gets another couple of seasons. But something needs to change drastically, and especially put her back to singing the main theme song. Last up, but not least, we have CW's Tuesday night offering, and that is the return of The Flash. And don't worry folks, I won't make any speed jokes, apart from it zooming back to TV for us. for a third season. Okay, all jokes aside. After the initial success of Arrow, I was extremely happy where CW were with the DC material. When Barry Allen was first introduced into the Arrow, I got all giddy like a little schoolgirl. I was jumping up and down with excitement. But I had this fear that they would try to make the Flash too real. As I may have mentioned once or twice before, all DC superheroes seem to be too camp. Any director that's come along has tried to inject that into the work. With the exception of Christopher Nolan's Batman, nobody's ever pulled it off successfully. Until now, of course. Sure, it's gloriously cheesy, and sometimes the bad guys' names just make me want to shake my head in disbelief. I guess you could always argue that last season's storyline dragged on for a little bit too long, which led to a slightly confusing ending to the season. But as I said, the material's difficult to work with. When I was growing up, I read a splattering of Flash comics, and I was a massive fan of the 90s series, even though it only ran for one season. However, in the last few years, I've seen quite a lot of the animated movies. I was really pleased when the CW managed to capture the spirit of the comics, which is why I love it so much now. It's nice to see that Hollywood is actually catching up to the rest of the nerd world. By that I mean that they're allowed to run with the material and try to keep it grounded in comic book lore. So guys, that's Tuesday night's TV all sorted out for us. I'm going to have to give this a 4 out of 5 rating in my opinion. I need to give a couple of honourable mentions to new shows that are starting on a Tuesday night. Bull, This Is Us and No Tomorrow. I'll reserve judgment on these 3 new shows until there's more to go off. If you like the video guys, please give us a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. Peace out.